to conduct a roll call, please.
Baylor. Connor.
Aye.
Freeman. Fusco.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick. Malik.
Aye.
Mosley. Neal. Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Sir Viviano. Today we will stop at 6 o'clock. Okay. Today what we'll do is our questions will be focused just on what's in the budget. I will open it up though. We will permit people to have one brief comment if there's something that they don't see, but that's going to be referred to, or we're going to ask that you send an email to Helen Tomick and CC me and the committee if there's aspirations in terms of something to be added. We're painfully behind, and so we do have to stop at 6 o'clock, a hard stop, in which we'll do that. But we'll restrict questions only to what's in the budget here today, and we'll provide for one comment per council person whenever it comes to the, if there's ideas that we have in reference to further funding on a particular issue, but of course it's much better if it's memorialized in writing too, but we will provide that as well, one comment. So with that, we're going to start with transportation. Mr. Leto, by all means, please begin. All right, Helen Tomick, are you going to do the arterial collectors on transportation?
I am. Let me just pull up the PowerPoint presentation on my screen.
Okay.
I thought I had it up. Can you see my screen?
No.
No? Okay, give me 1 second.
Yes, we can now. No, we
Transportation.
can't. We did for a second.
It came and then it left.
Okay, so let me try share screen one more time. Where is it? Transportation?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do from the beginning. I'm going to have to scroll down. Give me a quick second. Okay, transportation. Good evening or good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to be covering 4 topics. We're going to start off where we ended off last week, looking at transportation. From there, we will go to safety forces, and then sewer, and then water. So for transportation, the first item in the budget is the Arlington Street Resurfacing project. These include closeout charges for the Arlington Street Resurfacing program from Erickson to Munson Street. Construction began in September 2022, and it will be completed or scheduled to be completed in January of 2023. The bicycle network is an ongoing commitment. For the bicycle network, we did a study a couple of years ago. We are going to be focusing on East Exchange Street and possibly North Main Street, as well as East Market Street design in the future. The third item on the budget is Capitol Boulevard rail crossing. There were some safety issues or concerns at this rail crossing intersection. We're looking to install a traffic signal at Castle Windhurst for railroad crossing control. We are working on finalizing those plans, and we're looking at GO and state money for that. East Exchange Street, Complete Street. This has been in the budget for a couple of years. It's been in the design phase. We are now starting construction. It went out to bid maybe last week. This is between the termini of Arc Drive and Fountain Street. It was approved by council on April 22nd, 22. We did advertise, as I indicated, in mid-November. We're looking to start construction in 2023. East Market Street, this is the beginning of doing an extensive East Market Street study for full improvements, looking at required or needed lane requirements, bikes, buses, pedestrian crossings along the way as well. The limits for that project are State Route 8 to Case Avenue. Main Street Corridor Phase 2, we have about $1 million budgeted for that. These are for retainer and closeout costs for the reconstruction of the Green and Complete Street. This was from Mill Street to Route 59, and we are looking to, it was completed in April 22, finishing up some items in 22 and 23. Main Street Promenade Phase 3. We're looking initially at perhaps design to replace the concrete work from Main Street, Cedar Street to Burgess. This is initial design cost, just exploring the idea to replace the concrete on Main Street to finish out all of Main Street. Cuyahoga Street full improvements. This is also a study for full improvements along Cuyahoga Street, including new stormwater, curbs, asphalt, pavement from Ports Trail Extension to Cuyahoga River Bridge. Miller Road resurfacing. This is a resurfacing project on Miller Road to improve the drive surface and prolong the useful life of the pavement. Construction is set for 2024. Mall Avenue improvements, Phase 1. Looking at full improvements along Mall Avenue from South Hawkins to Schneider Boulevard. Project was set out for bid in April 2022, and we're looking for construction to begin in early 2023. North Main Street Complete Street Study. This is another study looking at public improvements from the Y Bridge to the North Corporation line. This could include a road diet, bike lane, signalization, paving, sidewalks, parking, and streetscape improvements along our North Hill Great Street. We have secured safety funds, SDBG funds, and CMAQ. We are pursuing state OPWC funds. Riverview Road resurfacing. This is a carryover from the previous year, looking to improve the driving surface along Riverview Road. We're looking to begin the resurfacing program in early 2023. Tallmadge Avenue improvements. These are closeout charges for realignment that took place on Tallmadge Avenue and the realignment of Dayton Street. Wolf Ledges Parkway improvements. These are proposed design costs for the full replacement of certain sections of concrete along Wolf Ledges Parkway.
Okay, Helen Tomic, at this point,
Yes.
We're going to entertain questions for arterial and collectors, should there be any. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you. Helen, I haven't heard the term closeout charges before, so in regards to Tallmadge Avenue improvements, could you just explain what that all includes? Now, obviously, Tallmadge Avenue, I'm just, I don't know if we want to break it up from Main Street to Home Avenue, and then if there's anything from Home Avenue to Britton Road. But go ahead, I'll let you explain.
So closeout, you typically will work with contracts. We withhold a certain amount of money, a certain percentage of money until the project is completely finished. That could include streetscapes, planting trees, whatever. Once it's completely done, then we release that final payment to the contractor.
Okay, so that's...
Does that answer your question?
Okay, that's what closeout means. Okay,
Okay.
and so are we just talking about Tallmadge Avenue improvements, again, from Main Street to Home Avenue? Or is there anything else regarding Tallmadge Avenue that's in the budget?
If you're looking from like Home Avenue to Britton Road, we do not have anything planned for that area, at least not in the next 5 years, and possibly beyond.
This project, Councilman, was from Main Street up to the expressway.
Got it.
That's where it ended.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tara Mosley.
Helen, a quick question on how much is this funding coming through issue $4?
For which one? Sorry.
For the arterial collector streets, the funding source, how much of it is coming through issue $4?
I can break that up for you. I believe we have some money in Wall Avenue of issue $4 and possibly some in Miller Road resurfacing. But I can pull that for you and get that information to you.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like $500,000 of income tax for Mull Avenue. Yes, Mr. Malik?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Tomek. In the past, I believe 3 or 4 capital budgets, there's been a line item for a Smith Road traffic study, and the traffic study did not occur in 2020 or 2021 or 2022 because of COVID. I don't see it reflected here. Is it not planned to proceed? Because this is something we had committed to the residents for several years to address the longstanding issues with turning in and out of some of those developments because of how overdeveloped the area is.
We do not have it in the 2023 budget. I will have to look and see if it's in our 5-year budget. I can get back to you about that as well.
Is there, Ms. Tomek, is there a reason why it's not included in this year's budget after it's been included in the last several?
So as we go through this budget process, we look at what our budget capacity is and what our needs, and we just felt with COVID, a lot of folks are working from home, and we felt that those traffic concerns were not as great as they were 4 years ago.
Okay, well, if I can just briefly, I'm sure there will be plenty of time to follow up, but I know dozens, if not hundreds of residents who disagree, because there are continuing issues with safety of folks, especially folks who are older adults, turning in and out of those condo developments, and so we can follow up and talk about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malik. Anyone else with questions reference arterial or collector? Okay, very good. Bridges? Helen, there you go.
Bridges. We have set aside $100,000 for an annual bridge maintenance program. This is looking at general minor bridge repair and hopefully prolonging the life of those bridges. This has not been in the budget for a couple of years, but we did bring it back in 2023. We felt it was very, very important to maintain bridges within the city of Akron. The Bowery Street Bridge rehabilitation, this is the looking at to determine the needs and the replacement of the Bowery Street Bridge. We are looking at securing funds, and construction is set to begin in 2024 for the Bowery Street Bridge rehabilitation. The bridge program specialized inspections. So if we're going to be repairing bridges, we also need to be inspecting those bridges on an annual basis. So we are looking at conducting specialized inspection, periodic inspections of our bridges as well. The Goodyear Boulevard bridge replacement, this is the total replacement of Goodyear Boulevard Bridge over the railroad. BRE funds have been awarded. This has been passed by council on April 2022. Construction is set to begin in 2023. South Main Street Bridge over CSX study. This is a study to determine the specific needs and repairs for this particular bridge. It is East Miller to Steiner. We are looking at design, and we are continuing to seek funding sources for the replacement of this bridge. Old Farm streetlights. We're looking to install streetlights in the Old Farm residential development area. Beardsley Street, this is a retainer and miscellaneous closeout for the replacement of curb sidewalks and resurfacing along the new high school. The Bellwood Drive improvements, this has been in the budget for a couple of years. This would be for the design and construction for the replacement of the deteriorated concrete repavement with asphalt. Construction is set to begin in 2023. Concrete street repair, $1.5 million. looking at the rehabilitation of existing concrete pavement and spot repairs and partial replacements where needed to extend the useful life of our concrete streets. Home Avenue improvements, we are looking at designing improvements, possibly to include full depth pavement and utility adjustments along Home Avenue. This is just an initial study to determine the needs. Summit Lake neighborhood improvements, looking to construct a sidewalk that would provide connectivity to the community center. Residents at Good Park, full improvements of streets, including water, sewer, to support their residential development. This includes, like I said, water, sewer, sidewalks, utilities, and road improvements. Independence Avenue, improvements similar to Home Avenue. This is a concrete street that needs some attention, so we're looking at designing improvements that will include possibly full depth improvements and looking at utility casting adjustments.
Okay, Helen Tomic, question. The residents of Good Park, I see a special assessment of $3,026,000. Is that just the developer's cost?
We are looking with assessments there. A portion of the assessments will be charged to the residents.
Okay, I think I understand. Okay, very good. Questions? Mr. Malik?
I think Mr. Lombardo might have the same question as me. For the concrete street repair, which streets are going to be repaired?
Mr. Little, do you have that list?
I do now, we'll get it for you. I mean,
Okay.
we go by a condition report, so the condition report of the streets, so we'll get you a list.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Shared with everyone. This time we'll go with Tara Mosley, then Phil Lombardo.
Thank you. Just a quick question, Helen, on the bridge funding sources, are we going to be able to tap into any of the infrastructure bill funding that can offset some of the costs of the bridges?
We are looking at all available funding sources, including the infrastructure bill. The infrastructure bill, it's my understanding, did not create any new programs. It's just, most of it is an extension of existing programs. So for example, for the bridge replacement program at the federal level, instead of allocating $1 billion, they may allocate $2 billion. So most of the funding sources are just expanded, but we are exploring any and all options for all of our bridge projects.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo.
Yes, yes, Helen, I wasn't going to ask, in the concrete street repair category, I mean, you also mentioned brick, so that's where I want to concentrate my question, because I just wanted to know, you got $1.5 million there, you know, has this increased since the prior year? That would be my first question. And secondly, I mean, I have, you know, a lot of brick streets in Ward 2. I could mention Mount Vernon, Collinwood, Murray. Just to say, you know, spot repairs, the whole street brick, it's, you know, like a Cedar Point roller coaster. So I don't know how much 1.5 million stretches, but I do appreciate this being in the budget, number one, also. But I guess, has this amount here been increased in prior years, at least? Maybe you can answer that. Thank you.
If I recall correctly, it's been in the budget for the past couple of years. Prior to that, we did not have a concrete street repair budget. And if we did, it was going back 10 or 15 years. I can go back the past 5 years and provide you with a budget line item of what was provided in the budget for concrete street repairs if you like, or we can go back further if you like.
Oh, just 3 years is fine, but I guess also what I would want to know is, since you already mentioned, you know, Home Avenue and you know, Independence, which are concrete streets, so that's that's why I concentrated my question on the brick side of the house. So, again, the brick streets, how many streets were repaired this year? In the past, did the budget cover what was repaired this year, or did we have, did we need more?
So we did have concrete street repair in 2022. We did not receive OPWC funds, so we had to make some adjustments with that, and we're hoping that in 2023 we will be able to access state dollars, so that will expand our capacity to make these improvements.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mallett?
Yes, just going off of Mr. Lombardo's question, how much was spent on concrete street repair in 2022?
$1,500,000.
I don't have the 22 budget in front of me.
Oh, 22.
Okay, I know that, Ms. Tomic, you mentioned that you would, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
We can get those numbers for you for next time.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that you were going to get Mr. Lombardo the last 3 years of the budget line item.
Yes.
If we could also get the amount that was spent, that would be great. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you all. Any other questions or comments? Just briefly, as I mentioned, just one comment on this one for our friends in finance and Mr. Luddle. There may not be a desire to do this within the next year, but we maybe need to start thinking about an increased assessment for brick and concrete. Because obviously those costs are extremely high, which, the higher the assessment, the higher the collection, the more we can do. But, those days may come because it is so much more expensive. Mr. Luddle?
Well, we will for full improvement, but on this repair, we do not assess, okay? On these, so if we go to a concrete street and take an area and, if we have a depression and bring that up, then that's not really, we don't assess for that
I got you on
small
the
portion.
repair.
But if we redid the whole street, it would have to be, we'd have to get the neighbors' input. Do they want it replaced? And I would say a high demand would, yeah, I want my concrete street replaced. But if we did that, then you're talking, millions and millions of dollars. And
Well, in terms of the street, yeah, if I could, in terms of the street repair, we have a $150,000 assessment, special assessments in here, and 1.5 million total. And I see that we're, using general obligation, gas tax, and OPWC, which I'm assuming is the utility piece, right?
But the thing is, if it's an intersection, we don't assess.
Yeah.
So you have those.
I get that.
A lot of these concrete repairs, the intersection's the worst, so we don't assess for those portions. That's why the assessment number is so low.
But that's what I'm saying, in terms of the
The accessible
concrete
portions, we
and-
probably ought to
yeah.
look at that, yes.
And the brick as well.
Brick, yes.
And obviously down the road, so. Anyways, with that, let's go ahead and move on. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Sidewalk program?
So the city sidewalk program, we are looking at, I don't have my notes, at approximately $575,000. This is a continuation of our ongoing sidewalk program based on homeowner request. Last year, we received 165 requests. This budget would possibly address requests made in March of 2021. Right now, we have 221 requests pending. 165 were addressed in 2022, 221 are still remaining to be addressed in the future. Portage Trail Extension sidewalks, this is also included for the 2022 budget. I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. Yes, we are looking at the design and construction of sidewalks along Portage Trail. $75,000 GO for that in 2023. South Portage Path sidewalk, the construction of sidewalks on the west side of the street to support development, approximately $180,000 for that. And our annual resurfacing program for 2023, we're looking at approximately $5.5 million. This includes income tax, gas tax, and special assessments.
Thank you.
Any questions on that?
Thank you, Helen Tomic. Mr. Lombardo?
Thank you. Helen, I wasn't fast enough to write some things down, but I can get with you later. I just recall from last year, sidewalk program, we were a little behind, but we were going to catch up as of, I think all the requests up through October of 21. I don't know if we've done that yet, but I guess I would just like to see, in the future, if you could consider more money into this program, because it is a need. I know in 22, the budget was 570,000, and now we got 575, which is an increase, but I guess in the future, I'd like some consideration for this program to be increased even further.
Thank you. President Somerville?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to echo what Councilman Lombardo said. Have we gotten caught up on the program? I thought we had more money budgeted before.
No, we're still filling the request from 21. We're not into the 22 request yet.
Right.
I believe last year we amended the budget to increase it.
A little more.
I think we went to
So-
670,
Yeah.
670, I
Yeah.
believe. We did add more money last
Yeah.
year.
So I'm just going to put in my 2 cents if we can put a little bit more so that we can get caught up.
Okay, good, yeah. So noted. Nancy Holland?
I would chime in on those two voices as well. Walkability is part of the bigger vision of sustainability for our city. So, this is something that's needed, I think, everywhere, but certainly in West Hill, certainly in Highland Square, and I want to raise my hand, I raised it last week, about Portage Trail Extension sidewalks. This isn't just about walkability, this is about safety. This is about ADA compliance, it's about being responsible to the many stakeholders who put a lot of time and energy into the Merriman Valley planning process, and I think it would be a much needed, much welcomed show of good faith for us to get moving on those sidewalks on Portage Trail Extension. About the time that you see folks in scooters and wheelchairs in heavy snow, moving up and down on the poor surface shoulder on that heavily trafficked street, this is just a recipe for something terrible. So it's way overdue. The same amount of money was set aside last year. I'd really, really like to see some movement on that, and I know a lot of other people would too. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone, Mr. Malik?
Just briefly, I want to echo the comments of my colleague. Almost every time I drive up Portage Trail Extension, I see someone walking in the dirt trail there. And, this really is a question about equity as well. We've talked in recent weeks about Timber Top and about how, this is a development that is in disrepair and has a lot of serious housing conditions issues, but it also applies to the built environment around it, that there weren't, sufficient public improvements made when it was put in originally, both that and the development across the street. And also agree with my colleagues about sidewalks. I hear it from my residents as well. And I know, Mr. Luddle, in the past we had talked about breaking up some of the sidewalk contracts to not only increase the capacity of contractors who might be able to bid on this, but also to improve the share of minority businesses. Have we pursued that?
So we did that in 21. We took a small portion, and a minority contractor performed that work, and they did very well. This year we did the same thing. That minority contractor bid on both the large program and the small one, and they were low bid on both, and they've done very good. So we have a minority business doing all of it, okay? The problem we're finding out in the last 2 months is concrete supply. They're struggling with getting enough concrete to perform the program. And we see this long-term coming. Now, how long it's going to last, we don't know. But we're really looking at this over all of our construction projects. Going into 23, are we going to have a concrete shortage? But to answer your question, with a short answer, the minority contractor did very well. And they bid on our restorations of our water and sewer, and they performed half of that program this year also.
Really
So they're
good.
out of Firestone Park, Timeline Construction. They did a very nice job.
Appreciate the information.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Further questions or comments reference that? Not hearing any. I would just also echo the Portage extension and wondering if 75,000 is going to be enough to cover, because that's a challenging, it's got to be challenging in order to design something that's going to be safe, because it's so steep in the topography. So
I think it will be. The challenging part is not only it's the right-of-way acquisition, and we're dealing with part of Cuyahoga Falls and part of Akron, so it's going to be a lot of coordination and buying some of that right-of-way, whether it's from the drugstore at the bottom of the hill or some of the, so it's probably going to be a little more than the normal design, but I think the 75 will cover it.
okay, good. And are
We'll
we
do a
only-
lot of the survey in-house.
Gotcha. And we're only talking about the south side, right? Is that right? Is the south side only? Because
Yes.
I don't know, I don't think the north side is even doable.
It's not, there's not enough right-of-way there.
Okay.
There's retaining walls and everything else.
Exactly.
Yep.
Cool, thanks. We can go on to water and sewer now, short of any other concerns.
Safety forces.
Oh, safety next? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So, let me start my presentation. So safety forces, this covers mostly IT $4.
What
You
page?
should have received an IT4 budget. We are looking or projecting possibly collections about $15 million.
I'm sorry,
for
Helen?
Income tax for increase
sorry.
in 2017, I believe, otherwise known as the streets and safety budget. We split that up, $5 million between each division, public service, police, and fire. So the first item in the safety section is the
Okay,
replacement of fire engine 13.
Helen,
That is
Helen,
approximately
Helen,
$650,000. And we're looking-
I need like a little light or something. No, just what page on the, in the regular budget are you starting on? Just curious. My watch is talking to me. Is it page 7?
Helen, I just sent you a prompt to unmute.
There we go. So Jim, actually, do you have that? I think it's page 7. I didn't bring that with me.
Okay.
But this section is going to be like throughout the entire budget as a whole. It'll cover part of the miscellaneous section, and then we do have sections of police and fire.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So fire engine 13, replacement of that covered through the income tax $4. And then also for fire, we did budget about $600,000 for their annual vehicle replacement program. This would be to replace any type of fire-related, other than fire trucks or engines, fire-related vehicles that they use on an annual basis. The facility improvement program is about $250,000. So these are minor repairs within all of our different fire departments. Some of them may need a door replaced, some of them may need an HVAC system replaced, some of them may need windows replaced. So instead of having like 10 or 15 different items, we have one general line item for the facility improvement program for them to make those necessary repairs. The fire division debt service, this is actually about $1,055,000 going to pay for the debt for fire station 2 and 4. The fire gear replacement program is specifically what it states there. It is for the replacement of their structural gear that has to be replaced, I believe, every 10 years. So this is an annual replacement program to replace the fire gear that they use when they go into fires. The management software hardware training system, this is fire share of various ongoing support and maintenance for critical software systems. This is a partnership. There's a share that goes to police and a share for fire. Fire share is $175,000. Miscellaneous fire and EMS equipment program. So this is replacement of tools, equipment, and any other miscellaneous items that they may need on their fire trucks or their EMS vehicles. The police and fire CAD system is a computer-aided dispatch system. $175,000 is the fire share. Police share we'll discuss in a minute. The vehicle refurbishment program for fire. So they do refurbish their EMS vehicles, taking the chassis and putting a new vehicle part on it. So it's prolonging the life of the vehicles, the EMS systems. It's an annual line item budget that we have had in here at $100,000. And then the construction of Fire Station 12, we did have this last year. This was a little bit delayed. So this is looking at the allocation of funds for Fire Station 12. Some of this will be cash, some of it will be the issuance of debt. So that's the fire section. Would you like us to move on to police, or do you want to ask questions for fire first?
Let's see if there's any questions first. Any questions from anyone? President Somerville?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one quick question about station number 12. Do we know when construction's going to happen there?
We completed the preliminary site in the site because of the lack of better terms, the peat in the ground had to settle. So Friday, we should have received all the proper permits to begin the work. So Summit County, we've been working with them with all the submissions, and they should have, Friday, like I said, there was a meeting, and we should receive all the permits. So we should see equipment and the footers going in very soon.
Okay, any further questions?
Yes,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Chair.
Yes, Linda Mobian?
Thank you. Two things. I don't have that fire miscellaneous section. If we could have all of that together, I would appreciate that. The second one I have is a follow-up to President Somerville's question. Are we sure we want to build the fire station there? Because everything I hear about the land, the soil, is that this may not hold up. You know, it's unsteady land, and I know they've probably been boring and building it up, but it sounds like it's swampy and it's gonna sink. I know this is, I think I asked the question before when I was passing by there, but are we certainly doing the right thing by putting the fire station on that property?
Mr. Leto?
Councilwoman Mobian, we're very confident. The work we did over the summer by removing all that peat, we got down to solid ground, and we did that by soil boring. So if you looked out, if you remember out by Hawkins, we went down almost 20 feet, removed all that, brought it up with premium fill, and there, as the site went back towards the west to the back of the building, there was very little, and it's all been removed, and we've been watching it all summer, and there's been no deflection at all in that site, no sinking at all, so we're very confident that we'll be fine with this site.
Very good.
Okay.
Mr. Malik?
Thank you.
Mr. Malik?
Just really quickly, when is the anticipated opening of Fire Station 12?
Well, it depends how much we get done this winter, obviously. If we get it under roof in the spring, possibly next fall. If not, it may go into 2024.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Okay, very good. All right, we can now move on to police side, I believe. Correct, Helen Tomic?
Yep, that's
All right.
correct. So for the vehicle replacement program for police, we are budgeting approximately $800,000 for the annual replacement of any obsolete or annual unusable police vehicles. Of that, $500,000 is from IT4, $300,000 would be GL. Safety Forces Bond, this is the police's share to pay for the CAD system that was installed a couple years ago. $560,000 going for academy and training. This is funding for the 2023 class, as well as recruiting efforts, testing, and hiring costs for future classes. Akron Safety Center, Every year, we've been setting aside some resources for the future police station. So this year, we're budgeting approximately $100,000 for that set aside. Axon camera contracts, this is an ongoing contract with Axon for the cameras, technology maintenance, and paying for the digital storage. So we're looking at approximately $245,000 of IT4 funds for that. Axon tasers, this is a the second year of a 5-year contract looking at funding for tasers for approximately 340 uniform and non-uniform officers. Dan Street Training Bureau facility, ongoing improvements at Dan Street, looking at HVAC improvements and roof improvements there. Management hardware and software systems, $250,000. So a couple minutes ago, I referred to the same system as the fire share. This is the police share for that contract. The same goes for police CAD, funding for the police portion of this CAD system, sharing a phone system and loggers and for the combined communication center with fire as well. Police gear replacement, we're budgeting approximately $100,000 of IT4 funds for the replacement of SWAT gears and other gear replacement. Repairs to the Justice Center, we're looking at approximately $50,000 of IT4 funds for miscellaneous workspace repairs at Stubbs. And we have also, there have been some issues with the elevator system at Stubbs, and we are looking at spending approximately $1 million to replace those elevators or repair them because a couple of them are not working order. So that takes care of the police section. Any questions regarding police?
Yes, I have a few. Just that I can't seem to locate the Stubbs Justice Center within the actual budget itself. And maybe I'm missing something, the vehicle replacement program also. And I know you don't have it with you, but if you could find that and just email me later. I just don't see it. Whose turn is it? Mr. Lombardo first, then Ms. Mosley, then Mr. Mallett.
Helen, what I was wondering is, I know the purchase of those flock cameras that was a successful purchase. I think that it's helped in solving a lot of issues that we have. And I just want to know, in this budget, is there any line item here where we could possibly obtain more flock cameras?
I know we are looking at that. I don't know if police or Gert, if you want to address that.
Cozy?
Sure. Mr. Councilman, there is funding for, right now, up to 145 cameras. That's through a grant that we're going to be paying for that. There's some money here and there where we could draw on to get more cameras. Those are $2,500 a year per camera. So we can place them, we can move them, we can do a lot of things with those. There's a lot of flexibility in that program.
Right now we have, how many did we purchase? 170 or something?
The total is 145 for the total, that's the...
That we have out there right now?
Total amount that we're going to have. We do not have all those out there yet. Okay. We're still in the process of putting those out there and deploying those cameras. So we haven't seen the full effect of the flock cameras just yet, but we are moving that direction. Okay,
so 145, and is there ability to get even more?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Are the current 145 spoken for? I mean, I know there's locations.
Those cameras are being placed based on the data analysis that our analysts do for the most effective spaces for those things. I can't tell you for certain today how many we have out there already. I know we're still deploying.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sarah Mosley?
Couple questions on the Axon tasers. I thought that contract was up in June of next year.
That's correct. And what we're looking at here is you start the new contract early, and by doing that, we're going to get a credit for the amount that we've already paid this year, plus we're going to get this year's pricing, which is going to have a significant effect on the total outcome price for that 5-year contract. We're going to save about 7%, which is pretty substantial when the contract is at that level.
So will this be for the new tasers that we?
Yes, these are
Okay.
for the Taser 7. I don't know if you had the opportunity to
Yeah.
see those when they
Yeah.
were here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I do not see a line item on here for dash cameras.
No, ma'am, you did not, but they are there, just not in the IT4 budget. That's a separate budget. It's actually part of the grant budget,
Okay,
but we do have the grant money for that.
okay,
And
good,
we're-
thank you.
We're all set.
Would that be in the operating, or why wouldn't it be?
It goes as part of the operating, the grant portion of the budget is part of the operating
The
budget.
grant?
yes.
Okay. Good question. Mr. Malik?
Thank you. For the $100,000 set aside for the police station, how much is currently in that fund?
That's a question I'm going to have to look up the
They-
answer.
Oh,
Go
maybe
ahead,
a
Helen, if you
million,
have.
million and a half, but we can look that up and get it to you next week.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Further questions or comments from anyone? Okay, very good.
So, Mr. Fusco, real quick, you asked about stubs. It would be on page 8 and page 13 of the capital budget.
8 and 13. 8 and 13.
So I'm going to stop sharing, and Ms. Hannah will pull up the sewer section of the budget.
Oh, under public facilities, thank you. Okay, very good. Thank you both. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Jenny Hanna. I am the Environmental Division Manager in the Engineering Bureau, and I'll be presenting the sewer sections of the proposed 2023 budget. Can everyone see the screen okay and hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So starting on page 16 of the proposed budget under the combined sewer overflows category,
Yes, thank you.
First project is the Case Avenue parking lot. This project will improve the parking lot at Case Avenue and Market Street. It also includes a pedestrian bridge that will be installed for use by clients of the battered women's shelter to go from the parking lot to their facility. These improvements are being made as part of the land acquisition requirements for construction of the Middlebury RAC 57 green infrastructure, which was constructed on land where the previous parking lot was installed there. The CMOM 5-year cycle is implementation of the Capacity Management Operation and Maintenance Program, abbreviated CMOM, of the sewer system. It involves televising and cleaning of the sewer system every 5 years. It is required by the consent decree, and it's used to identify needs for sewer rehab projects based on the conditions observed. We are in the 3rd year of the 3rd cycle of this program. The Combined Sewer Overflow Real-Time Control Project is implementation of a real-time control system to monitor and control wet weather storage in the sewer system. It can be used to optimize operation of the system. It's often called smart sewers.
Management program 2.5.
Are you still seeing my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. It disappeared on my screen for a minute.
Yeah, we're good.
Moving to page 17 of the proposed budget, the CSO program management team is funding for program management services to operate the Akron Waterways Renewed program. The CSSF disinfection feasibility study is a study to determine whether it's feasible to add additional disinfection to the Tyler Street storage facility. The enhanced high-rate treatment system is preliminary design of enhanced high-rate treatment system to treat overflow from the Ohio Canal Interceptor Tunnel before it discharges to the Little Cuyahoga River. Lower north side interceptor lining is design and construction of the CIPP lining, cured in place lining of the sewer along Peck Road from Main Street to Little Cuyahoga River. The Memorial Conveyance CSO RAC 26 project is an upsizing of the RAC 26 underflow pipe to convey more flow and eliminate the combined sewer overflows from RAC 26 in the typical year. This project is scheduled to be completed this year, and so we are showing closeout charges to be paid in 2023. Northside Interceptor Tunnel is construction of a 16.5-foot storage tunnel that will control combined sewer overflows from RAC 32, 33, 34, and 35 during a typical year storm. The tunnel files the alignment of Riverside Drive from Front Street to the checker area of Cascade Valley Metro Park. And the Ohio Canal Interceptor Tunnel project, this project is complete. The charges we are showing are for closeout charges. Riverside Sewer Separation CSO RAC 34. This is a sewer separation project in the RAC 34 drainage area in North Hill. The project will completely eliminate the combined sewer overflow to the Cuyahoga River in this area. This project was added as part of the negotiations with US EPA to reduce our tunnel diameter from 16.5 feet, or from 24 feet to 16.5 feet. So it will be included in our third amendment to the consent decree.
This is where you can do a touchdown dance if you'd like. Awesome job. Very good. Go ahead.
Mueller Conveyance CSO RAC 27 and 29 is upsizing of RAC 27 and 29 underflow pipes to eliminate combined sewer overflows in those areas. The construction of this project is complete, so the charges that we're showing in 2023 are closeout charges. And the WRF Biosept project is, the project's complete. It involved construction of a new tank and biological chemically enhanced primary treatment system at the water reclamation facility to treat influent wet weather flows in excess of 220 MGD. The charges that we're showing in 2023 are closeout charges and the cost for a demonstration study that was required by US EPA as part of the project to show that the technology is working and meeting their performance criteria. We are required to sample 20 wet weather events under that study. We have sampled 18 of those events to date, so we just have two more events to sample.
Very good.
And then that completes the CSO section. Are there any questions on that section?
About the third amendment, do you want to say something? Mr. Luddle, would you like to make a brief comment? Then we'll ask for questions, but reference the third amendment.
Sure. As you know, for a couple years now, we've been in negotiations with Ohio and US EPA, and our third amendment is the last two projects in the consent decree. So, as she mentioned, RACs 26, 28 will be finished here in about a month, down behind the nursing home on Hickory Street, so that will close out that project. So what's left is the north side. In the consent decree is a 24-foot diameter tunnel, which project cost, we didn't even do another project escalation cost, but it has to be, at least 10 or 15% more. We're proposing a 16-foot diameter tunnel with the separation of RAC 34, as Jenny mentioned. Part of that, we are lining the lower interceptor, which had to be done anyway. It's a 1930 sewer. With all that, our savings will be just under 40 million, and that's without escalation. So kudos to the whole engineering team, Pat Selman and everybody else to work through this, but it is the right thing to do, because we will achieve more than the typical year overflows in that section. Okay, so we're held to that 0 overflows in a typical year, and with the 16-foot diameter tunnel, the separation, we will exceed the typical overflows. The high-rate treatment facility that's in here, we're still working with them on some alternative projects. The CSSF, which we remembered as RAC 40, Councilman, adding disinfection there to treat some of those overflows, to leverage our smart sewers, as we talked about in this program, to eliminate the overflows at the tunnel. So the last time in our consent decree, the model showed that the tunnel would overflow. The tunnel we finished would overflow 3 times in a typical year. The last time that tunnel overflowed was March 10th. Well, if you remember, we had 10 inches of snow on the ground. It started to warm up and melt. We are already at 220 at the plant before it ever started raining. Then it started raining. So those two in conjunction, yeah, the tunnel did overflow, but that was well in excess of a typical year storm. So we're very proud of the way the system's operating. The people at the plant have been doing a fantastic job. And you say, well, it really didn't rain this summer. Well, as she mentioned in the BioSep project, it finished in June. We had 18 months to get 20 samples. Okay, we had to be in excess of 220 million gallons of flow at the plant to even take the sample. You take the sample, and it doesn't matter when is it, 3 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon, then that sample has to be shipped by courier all the way to somewhere in Connecticut. So since June, we've done 18 of those samples. So for someone to say, well, it hasn't been, no, we've had plenty of flow, and that tunnel hasn't overflowed. So we're still in those negotiations with the EPA, but I appreciate all of your support. And like I said, reducing this overall cost, this burden to our taxpayers, is our ultimate goal in the next 14 months.
Yeah, we can't, I'm sure everyone here and everyone that is represented here, all the folks, all the ratepayers in Akron are appreciative and wish we could push this out to everyone so everybody could understand it, because it's hard to understand. But then again, all that good work that's done up on 7 and all those floors up there, we really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
thank you.
it's not easy. I know, I've heard, and I understand that it's not easy dealing with our friends at the EPA at times, but
And
it's
not,
good work.
it's
good
not
work.
the, you know, we don't talk about it all the time, but the headwork project, which we're replacing right now, it's well on its way to be completion. This project, we actually put a new trunk line across the river. The towpath trail, as you know, has been relocated for a time, but we were bypassing the entire flow of the plant, and the contractor had 50 days, and they finished under 40. And there were some times when it was raining hard, and I don't think a lot of people down there slept. The contractor nor our people at the plant. And there's a neighborhood across or behind McDonald's that I know somebody lives in that would have been very susceptible to backups. So we were watching it. We had people working all night watching things. So the contractor, Akron contractor, was Ken Moore, had that job, did a fantastic job. But it was a touch and go, and we knew it was going to be a tough project, and they did a heck of a job.
Good. Great to hear. Thank you for that good news. With that, any questions or comments, CSO? Linda Mobian? Oh, and then Mr. Malley.
Thank you, Jeff Fusco. My first question, when we look at the CSO program management team, are we talking about our staff or these are outsiders? That's my first question. My second question has to do with, I know they want 100%, I guess, pure water or whatever. Are we gonna ever get 100% of anything? I mean, it's absolutely almost impossible to do that. But when you talk about these 20 samples that you tested, are we close to what we need to be at when we sample whatever it is that we're sampling? I guess we're sampling overflow to see if there's any impurities or whatever, feces or whatever coming through. And there was another question, closeout. That's my third question. I thought I understood it when you answered Mr. Lombardo. But this is basically money that we're just holding back until the very end to make sure they've done everything they've agreed to do, or we're holding this money back to check to see if there are other things they need to do. I don't know. What can you may want to jump on that one first. Thank you very much.
Mr. Luttle?
I'll start with the last question first. The closeout and the retainage is typically held for a year, and that is usually the warranty period, whether it's the manufacturer or it's all the punch list items. So some of these larger projects, we may pay part of that out as the punch list is done, not to hold all that money from the contractor. But typically it's 1 year on closeout for these charges. And it's anywhere from, on large projects, it might only be 6%. On some of the smaller projects, it could be up to 10% for 1 year. And it's in the contract that we're going to do that. Your second question, on the samples and the E. coli and what the biological treatment's doing on Biosep, out of the 18 samples, Jenny can correct me, but I think we've received 16 back that all were within the limits or the criteria set forth. So the operation and the system at Biosep is working very well. And then your first question to the project management team, that is a consultant that manages not only parts of our program, but also some of the green infrastructure. So in dealing with 3 different small contractors, we go through one contractor, and like the aqueduct is, right now it's managed by, it's a subcontract to make sure that we're in compliance with that green infrastructure. We are looking to bring that back in the house. We're looking with our watershed folks to try to mirror these two together and possibly down the road train our own workforce to do this with our own people in-house. But right now, that is, I think it was 2.5 million, is a consultant that's doing that. But I could tell you this, in 2014, that number was like 16 million. And every year we have lowered that and lowered that and lowered that to get that down. We manage a lot of this in-house, but it has been greatly reduced over the last 5 or 6 years.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Malik?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Little, you talked a little bit about the third amendment to the consent decree, and I guess one of my questions is, so we anticipate that the judge will approve the amendment, right? And I guess, we're moving forward with the smaller project in terms of the smaller tunnel. What happens if the amendment is not agreed to, and we've already kind of gone somewhat down the field in pursuing some of these projects?
Well, this happened the last time, down on by the dog park and behind the unit we're just finishing. We would not do this if we didn't have case team approval, as they call it with Ohio EPA and US EPA. So it's been a struggle for 2 years to get all this through, but we have case team approval, and we're moving forward with the design, and we hope to get before the courts here within the next, let's say, 60 to 90 days. There is a 30-day public comment period once it's entered, and then we'll go to court. So we're still in the design phase. We've got all our easements. We've contacted the property owners. We're moving forward. If we had to reverse, I guess that'd be a different conversation that we would have to have with our legal team. I don't want to even express any further than that, but we've been very successful, and we've worked pretty hands up with the EPA, even though it's been a struggle at times, so I feel pretty comfortable. And our first amendment, the judge didn't even have a hearing. He looked at all the data, he said okay, he signed off. The second one, we did go to court, and we were successful after that amendment. So we anticipate the same success.
Thank you. And I mean, it is notable that we have the agreement and buy-in from US EPA and Ohio EPA, so that is to our credit given how difficult it's been. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Okay, with that, we'll go on to sanitary sewers.
Okay, we're now on page 18 of the proposed CIP. First project is the Britton Road Pump Station number 2 reconstruction. This is reconstruction of an existing sanitary sewer pump station built in 1973. Flow monitoring and rain gauges. This project continues the operation and maintenance of the city's rain gauges and flow monitors. The information is used for modeling and also operation of the sewer system. Hawkins District sewer improvements. This project will repair defects in the sanitary sewers in the Hawkins Sewer District that have resulted in inflow and infiltration. Miscellaneous collection system improvements. This project includes commercial sewer lateral replacement and water reclamation and sewer maintenance vehicle and equipment replacement. The miscellaneous sanitary sewer emergency improvements includes the design and construction or reconstruction of various sanitary sewer emergency projects throughout the city. The sanitary sewer force main replacement 2021, this project will reconstruct deteriorated cast iron force mains for the Fairhill, Crom Hill, and Fairlawn Knolls pump stations in northwest Akron, and Clearfield Pump Station, which is located near the Ohio Canal. The next set of projects are the sanitary sewer reconstruction projects. Each of these projects involves the rehabilitation of our sanitary and combined sewers and manholes by point repairs, replacement, or reconstruction by cured-in-place pipelining or sprayed-in-place pipelining. These projects are the assets included in this project are identified from our CMOM cleaning and televising and prioritized based on the severity of the defect, the criticality, and other criteria. So the first one is the Sanitary Sewer Reconstruction 2019 Large Diameter Lining Project. We are anticipating construction of this project being complete this year. So we're budgeting closeout charges in 2023. The Sanitary Sewer Reconstruction 2021 Large Diameter Lining Project. This project has been bid and construction will start soon. We brought construction legislation and WPCLF funding location to council a few weeks ago for this project. The Sanitary Sewer Reconstruction 2021 Small Diameter Lining Project. This project has also been bid and construction will start soon on this project. The Sanitary Sewer Reconstruction 2023 Lining Project. The design of this project is complete. We are waiting to hear if we have been successful in obtaining OPWC funds for the project, and we are planning to bid the project in 2023. Going to page 19 of the proposed budget, the Sanitary Sewer Reconstruction 2024 project. The money budgeted for this project is to complete the design of the project in 2023 and apply for OPWC funds, and we would plan to bid this project in 2024. Shoreline Pump Station Improvements Project is improvements to existing pump station and force main to accommodate greater volume and relieve the downstream pump station to support proposed residential development. And the Springfield Lake Trunk Sewer Lining Project is reconstruction of about 3,500 feet of 33-inch diameter sanitary sewer using the cured-in-place lining process. The sewer is located along Springfield Lake Outlet. We did have an emergency repair of a portion of the sewer a few years ago, so we are proactively lining this so we don't experience any more emergency repairs.
Thank you.
And that concludes the sewer section. Are there any questions on that section?
Thank you. Questions? Okay, very good. Water reclamation facility, I think, is next.
Yep, so we are on page 19. The first project is the annual plant renewal. So this project includes miscellaneous improvements to the WRF, Water Reclamation Facility, and to pump stations in the system. The WRF Headworks Improvements Project, the project's currently under construction, and it will upgrade the Headworks facility at the Water Reclamation Facility to provide 280 million gallons capacity. The screening facility and the grit facility are being fully replaced, and as Mr. Little mentioned, we replaced the main outfall interceptor sewer over the Cuyahoga River as part of that project. Then the last project is the WRF Process Control Systems project. This project involves replacement of the process control system at WRF. It is used to operate the plant facility and also the tunnel and tanks in the sewer system. We brought legislation to council within the last few weeks for construction of this project and for funding, and the project for the installation of the fiber loop, which is part of the system, bid last week. So any questions on the water reclamation facility? I do need to mention, I missed on my slide, that the water reclamation facility has achieved many awards in 2022, so we've listed them on this slide to highlight those. So they are nominated for the 2022 NACWA Gold Award. Also, Tom Smith received the 2022 OWA Lifetime Engineering Achievement Award. Tom Bruner received the 2022 Northeast Ohio OWA Section Herb Hansen Award, and Tom Zuccolo received the 2022 WEF Laboratory Analyst Excellence Award. So,
Jenny, thank you so much for bringing that to us. We certainly appreciate it, and we are very, very thankful that we have this kind of talent. And it's not easy attracting this kind of talent. It's not easy keeping this kind of talent. But we are very fortunate here to have folks like this helping us in these ways when it comes to our reclamation facility. Anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we can move forward. Thank you again for that. And please let them know, too, that council, and maybe just a letter or something from leadership, or all of council, a letter to all those individuals congratulating and thanking them would be appropriate. We could do something like that. Thank you.
So moving on to stormwater systems. The first project we have is the Brewster Creek NIPSIS plan, which is preparation of a non-point source implementation strategy plan. So the abbreviation is NIPSIS for the Brewster Creek watershed. A NIPSIS plan is needed in order to apply for Clean Water Act grants to design and construct repairs. So we'd like to have that prepared in order to position us to apply for future funding. The FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program is a grant that we receive to buy houses that have experienced repetitive loss from flooding. And then the miscellaneous storm sewer improvements. This project includes the design and construction of miscellaneous storm sewer improvements throughout the city.
Questions?
So any questions on those projects?
We're not seeing any. Okay, thank you. That concludes my portion. Very good. Next up is, I'm going to ask Helen Tomick. I'm not going to assume, is it water distribution?
So let me pull that up on my screen. And I believe Mr. Luddle is going to be presenting this section. Is it up?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. First is our Archwood Pump Station improvements. This is updating pump. You got it?
Okay, very good.
Okay. This is updating the pump station and adding a second pump to include full electrical upgrade, replacing doors, roofs, backup generator, reconfigure incoming piping on both pumps, feeds to the high service. The next is the Britton Road Reservoir Replacement Construction. This replacement of water main reservoir to increase service pressure and volume emergency storage in the distribution system and improve water quality. Copley Road water main extension under 21. This is design and construct a 12-inch water main on Copley Road from Spafford Drive to the east side of 21 to connect two existing water districts. So basically this is going to be an interconnect of a dead-end line, and this will help balance pressures and increase or decrease the chlorine content of these two lines. Facilities demo, Stockbridge Standpipe and Polk Reservoir. These are carryover. We did receive $1 million from OWDA. Demolition of existing facilities that are no longer used at Stockbridge and Polk Reservoir. Polk Reservoir is over in Kenmore off of 6th Street. So, fixed network advanced metering. This is the rest of our 2022 into 2023. This is our meter upgrade. So this project we have begun. It's going to start increasing over the next year to fully integrate our first fixed network advanced metering infrastructure. Next is our force main rehab design. This is the rehabilitation and lining of original 1912 and 1920 steel force mains under the railroad embankment at Jesse Smith Park. This is coming down through Tallmadge, just from our plant down through. Hawkins Avenue water main extension. This is a construct 1,200 feet of 8-inch water main on South Hawkins between Morris and Jason to connect two inner non-circulating areas to improve water quality. This is another 2 dead-end water mains. Sometimes we have to actually have bleeders to keep the chlorine content. This will interconnect, which obviously helps in a water main break situation too. We can feed the water from both ways. Next is Kenmore Boulevard, 28th Street water main connection to bore 280 feet of 8 or 12-inch water main under the railroad tracks at 28th Street and Kenmore Boulevard, replace an existing failing connection to improve circulation and increase fire flow availability in the area on both sides of the tracks. Next is our lead service replacement program 2022. This is an annual reoccurring replacement of lead service lines between the water main and the customer's property line and reduce the number of homes served throughout lead services. Includes work on private property. So just to give a little context, we got $5 million from the state. We did receive $5 million from Ohio EPA, and then we are using $2.5 million of this to the $12.5 million that we're using of ARPA money. So we have 2,620 active lead services. This will help us reduce around 1,500 this program, which means we'll only have about 1,100 left after this program. The next is lead service replacement line program 2023. We applied in September to see if we can get principal forgiveness. This is another annual reoccurring replacement of lead service lines between the water main and the customer's property line, and the reduced number of homes, same thing. Basically, we are looking to use these funds not only from the private property, but to go from the lawn strip into their home. So we don't find much lead at all from the lawn strip into the home, but what we find is galvanized. So if you had a lead service that downstream of the lead service into the house is galvanized, we are going to replace that also, all the way up to the meter. The next is the North Summit Supply Doug Avenue water main extension. This will extend 8-inch water main from Doug Avenue for documented water increase. This is funded by Ohio EPA and Hudson. So this is up in Hudson. This is fully funded by those two. And this is to extend water main to balance out our flows up there. Times we get low water pressure, and this will help with an interconnect. The next is the North Summit Hudson Aurora Road Herrick Park water main extension. This is extended 12-inch water main on Hudson Aurora Road, just north of the Turnpike to approximately 883 north, to extend an 8-inch water main on Herrick Park Drive from Hudson Aurora Road to Kate Drive to close 3 dead-end water mains in Hudson as part of the North Summit Supply. This is another getting rid of 3 dead-end lines and interconnecting them. Quell pump station improvements, updating the pump station to include full electrical upgrade, new motor control center, variable frequency drives, power transformers, mag meter installation, and SCADA upgrades. University of Akron water main rehab 2023. This is to rehabilitate the existing water main, the University of campus, which serves as a major transmission main to downtown Akron and supplies water to multiple campus buildings, and will precede the Akron plan to replace campus brick pavers. So they're doing a major upgrade next year in their campus. So if you would take University Avenue and go all the way where it churns there, they're going to replace all that, and that's where our water main goes. So we didn't want them to do this major upgrade and leave that old water main under there, so we're going to rehab it before they do their project. Because we all know if we didn't, guess what happened? The break. US 2224 Waterloo Road water main extension, extend 2,000 feet of 16-inch water main to loop 2 dead-end JED water mains installed in 99 and 2001, provide additional pressure and flow utilization, the Waterloo Road booster station. So this is another water quality and balanced pressure project. Water distribution vehicle equipment replacement 2023. This is our annual replacement to upgrade backhoes. There'll be some utility trucks and I think a few service trucks in here.
Okay.
Water main replacement 2023, carryover annual reoccurring replacement of chronically breaking and deteriorating water mains to reinforce the water system and improve system reliability of operation, increase pressure and flow, and improve. So this is all based on condition reports of water main break history. So if we have a street that has a history of 12 water main breaks over the last 20 years, that's how we prioritize these projects. Water main replacement program 2024, this is a design, this is annual reoccurring replacement, basically the same explanation, but this is just a design for that. The one before, we are using ARPA funds, the 10 million.
Yes.
Which we wouldn't have been able to do before, because ARPA, before that, we were doing like $1 million at the most a year in just water main replacement. So this is a big boost. ARPA is a big boost to help us replace these water mains. Good. Wellington Lake Erie Railroad yard water main repair, replacement of lining of existing 12-inch water main beneath the railroad on Wellington Lake Erie Railroads, on Gilcrest Road, at Darrow Road. So this is the water main. If right there at McDonald's and I think there's a dollar store there, there's a water main that goes under the tracks there that goes over, kind of over by Mac Concrete. We're going to have to line that main. It'd be really impossible to open cut under the railroad tracks, so we're going to line it. So.
Couple questions probably for Helen Tomic, but I see there's been a number of adjustments between the slides and the actual budget itself, and I know that there's been some things that have changed and been reduced and added in and so on and so forth. I assume we're going to, obviously, before anything's done, we'll get the most updated, right, budget?
Correct. We will, within the next 5 to 8 business days, we will get a response to all the council questions to you, and then we'll also be presenting through law an amendment to the original budget submitted, and with that, a final copy of the budget will be shared with you.
Well, good, yeah, because like I said, some of these are just a little different, the funding, the amount of funding and such.
Correct.
And some,
Correct.
so I assume you guys are gonna make sure we balance, that's kind of important.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. Is there any questions or comments on the distribution side? Yes, Tara Mosley first, then Mr. Miller.
Chris, a question on the water distribution vehicle and equipment replacement. I know you said this is an annual reoccurring, but are any of these vehicles on back order? I know there's been some issues with getting things ordered.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, I can't tell you exactly, but I could tell you in Public Works, some of the snow vehicles, they're 18 months out. So I know council's asked for a report on snow and ice, and we are ready to submit that to you. So that could be a whole separate meeting, but yes, you're right. Some of these vehicles are, and they could be passenger trucks. And I believe it was because of the chip shortage where they're 18 months out. So, yeah, there is a problem, definitely.
So even with the, the back order, and these individuals aren't given cities discounts because, it's been a minute since.
Yeah, we have state pricing, but
Okay.
what we've seen, we're recently seeing it in our LEAF program where we wanted to buy a couple of, at least just lease a couple trucks to help us out. And if you're not right there at the right time, somebody else takes them. Another municipality or somebody else that can buy state bidding prices. So that's why we got to get this in the budget, get a PO and get it to them so we can get in line to get this equipment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Mallett?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So first on the new water meter system, I know we've had some supply chain backups, and now we've started rolling out the program, and it's really exciting to see that. What is the outlook in terms of the timeline for getting that system up and running?
We're currently working in Firestone Park, and they're slowly ramping up. Projections, we're going to get a lot more in the spring, but it looks like we should be done early 24 with the entire program. So we're going on the new metering, the new system, building gallons. We're setting up. We kind of had to back up. We were going to do the meters first and then do the IT portion of it. We've kind of reversed and doing the IT portion, and we've got the whole network set up throughout the city. So wherever we put the new meters in, we'll get the reads right away. So it was a supply chain issue, but we're ramping up now, and probably early 24 before we get them all in.
Thank you. And then a follow-up, well, not a follow-up, but it's related. This summer, we had the issues with the West Side transmission line and the boil alert. And I guess, obviously, we're putting a significant amount of money into water main replacement, but can you kind of talk about the prioritization, and particularly, are there, obviously we have to make choices with any budget, but it seems like we have so much deferred maintenance and we're trying to get ahead of it with ARPA. But I know, we had a lot of, every time we have to do a boil alert, we don't want to do it, but it's hard to get the information out to residents, and it is, a big concern. So how are you kind of thinking through that?
That will help with the new water meter project. So we are putting in, not every meter will have this capability, but we are putting in meters throughout our system that shows depressurization. So we'll be able to look right away, and all these that have a depressurization, we'll be able to map them immediately, and we'll be able to do a defined area. What we had to do with this recent one was we pretty much had to guess. We had to go by, okay, and we went over probably that had to go to the alert because we didn't want to take a chance. But the new system will allow us to pinpoint where it's at with the GIS map, and boom, we can send the alert, and we're hoping to get all new information from every customer. Because right now, I hate to say it, when people move, they don't update their information. We don't always know who to contact. If it's a building owner, especially in apartments, who to contact. Now we'll be able to send that information out in real time and let them know and lift in real time. What happened on the West Side transmission main, we had some valves that actually failed, and we went into a depressurization. That project is the lining of the water main going up going up north to Valley, across Market, and then up Crosby. It's going very well. I believe Friday, or maybe it was even today, if you were on Market, you probably saw a lot of water going down the street, because we had to do a chlorine test for so long to make sure our chlorine content, so they were flushing the line. So when that's over, we are going to activate the 12-inch main going up Market that's been dead. Not dead, but not in use, okay? So that's gonna help with the rest of this project, it gives us a little cushion, in other words. Now, because the west side was being fed at Memorial Parkway, and when we shut down the line going the 36-inch on North Street, that was the only line we had, and we had a problem down on Euler with the valve, so we got that fixed, and that's why we had that's why we had it for that 24 hours. The other was a water main breakdown on Akron Peninsula Road, and anytime you have a break in the low point of the system, it's going to draw, so that's why we were all the way up to State Road, and then we were all the way out on the, somewhere up around Smith Road, that area. So this should help tremendously.
Thank you very much. And just want to underscore the point you made about the new water meter system helping with notification, because that was what I heard most from residents, was the importance of improving that process.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about that, and appreciate the time for the questions, Mr. Chair. I could listen to these details for hours, but we're making such huge investments. You know, I think it's important to know some of the details.
Yes, thank you. Now, perusing the budget here, oh, Nancy Holland?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not really sure when the best time is to insert this question, but it's something that we talked about much earlier today under residential streets. Can I insert it now?
Sure.
It's a question that came to me from a couple of residents just since we've been here, who've been watching along from home. So I think we've got the right people in the room to address this. Okay to do it now? Or would you like to wait?
We're almost done, yeah, and maybe
Okay.
we could have just like a wrap-up
Sure.
final question type thing, if that's okay.
Absolutely
Yeah,
fine.
absolutely, though.
Thank you.
That's fine. Any other questions on this piece? Mr. Little, I just had, I know you guys have this data, and especially with the investment for the water main replacement piece, you know, like the effective age, a lot of calculations, but is there a way to even figure that out? I mean, this is a good, a huge investment for us, and it's needed, as we all know, and I think everyone is in whenever it comes to that. But it just seems as though for us to be able to communicate to our constituents, you know, the age of our infrastructure, it's difficult to do, and just that, you know, I don't want to get off base
Unfortunately,
too
I
much.
mean, we can get you some data, but I could tell you this. In 2 years, we have 1,200 miles of pipe, water line. In 2 years, 25% of that will be 100 years old. Now, we have some 100-year-old cast iron pit pipe that if you look on this residential street, it's never had a water main break, okay? It's like, but you go look at this one, put it in 1930, there might be 8. So we look at, now that our resurfacing has been extended and we're paving all these roads, we have to look at that. So this one's had 4, but it's due to be resurfaced next year. We better replace that water main before we resurface the street.
Right,
And if that one has 5 lead services, then let's do the lead services, let's do the water main before we do that. So, you know, one may have 10 breaks over the last 15 years, and one might have 7. One might be that, you know, 40 years older or 30 years older, but if we do prioritize with lead services and the resurfacing program. So, I hate to say it, but if you figure, if we have 300 miles that's 100 years old and it's $1 million a mile, you can do the math.
Right.
How far is this 10 million gonna
Yep.
go? But it is a lot better than doing 1 million a year.
Exactly right.
Obviously.
Very good, thank
Yep.
you. That is very good. Okay, let's go ahead and go into the water distribution side.
Water plan?
Water plan, I'm sorry.
Okay. First is our backwash pumps rebuild. It's a carryover. This is to remove and rebuild both backwash pumps at one at a time. Our caustic soda feed system replacement. This is replace existing caustic soda feed system due to age of ongoing maintenance, consistent with of bulk tanks, day tanks, transfer pumps, metering pumps, associated feed lining, conduits. It's an upgrade. We did bid and award that, and construction will start next year. Filter building, drinking water treatment facility. This is a rehab in the filter building, which has components greater than 100 years old. improving safety, reliability, water quality insurance, continued drinking water supply, and excellent water quality. This is really a structural rehab. It's not a total rebuild. Filter building roof replacement, it's about, this building's 100 years old. This is a replacement of existing filter and laboratory roofs, includes gutters, downspouts, facade, and vent caps. Fluoride and hydrochloric acid feed system replacement. This is an upgrade to the fluoride and hydrochloric acid feed system due to the age and maintenance issues consistent of bulk tanks, day tanks, transfer pumps, metering pumps, include zinc and sodium chloride systems. This needs to bid, and we hope to go to construction next year. High service pump ball valve. This is a carryover design of replacement and reconstruction of 6 30-inch Pratt ball valves. This is in the basement. This is our high service. There's a picture to the right. This is going to be if you've ever been down in that basement, you're thinking, oh my God, if one of these pumps go, we're going to get flooded out. So this is a rehab of that. Laboratory HVAC, we're working with our Akron Energy partners who've been doing a lot of the upgrades. This is the upgrade to the existing HVAC system inside the lab due to current HVAC systems being outdated, unserviceable, and no longer supported. Our low lift 5 kV feeder relocation. This is a replacement and relocate of the existing 5E aerial feed to an underground conduit system between the head house and the low lift building to eliminate the overhead construction. So if you look at the bottom right, you can see how it goes overhead. We haven't had it hit, but if we would have a contractor or something come in, we would eliminate that risk. Miscellaneous plant improvements. This is our annual reoccurring. This is, when you're doing doors, windows, general maintenance throughout the plant. Miscellaneous safety improvements, annual reoccurring. Miscellaneous safety improvements is necessary to support the Water Supply Bureau. And it's also, we'll do some ADA in there also with that project. Raw water intake valve replacement and repair phase 1. This is a carryover replacement and repair of existing raw water intake valves as necessary to correct broken or deteriorated valves to ensure sustained operationability of the raw water intake. So this will go to construction. This is our water coming off the lake through the raw water intakes. Sediment basement HVAC replacement. This is a replacement of the existing HVAC system in the sedimentation basins 1 and 2 is deemed necessary for asset management program through the Ohio EPA. Sodium hydrochloric feed system replacement design. This project will upgrade our sodium hydrochloric feed system, basically is bleach, due to the age and maintenance issues consistent of ball tanks, day tanks, transfer pumps, and metering pumps. Water plant roof replacement. This is a replacement of existing roofs of the caustic fluoride in garage buildings, repair stone coping. So the roof is way beyond its useful life. There's multiple leaks in it. Water plant security fencing. This is a carryover, replace existing security fence along the frontage of abutting Ravenna Road, reconfigure fence near the east drive for easiest truck access. This fence has been hit numerous times, so we're going to reconfigure, widen out the fence, the turning radius to help these trucks pulling into the plant. Water plant vehicle replacement. This is just our annual replacement of machinery and vehicles for our operation. Water plant water main upgrade. This project will upgrade the existing water plant distribution feeds that provide drinking water to the water plant and feeds various chemical feed processes by tying into the north side summit supply main with a 12-inch water main and looping the water plant. Currently, it's on a dead-end line. East Branch dam improvements. Construct and improve the East Branch dam location to maintain structural integrity of the dam structures by completing drainage improvements at the foot of the dam in order to effectively move water off the dam. This is basically some recommendation that ODNR looked at, and it's a drainage issue around the dam. Groundwater wells installed phase 1. Basically, we're looking to put some groundwater wells to supplement our operation. It's basically more capacity. If we'd ever get into a bad drought situation and our lake levels dropped, this will help supplement our water feed into the plant. Lake Rockwell earth and dike repairs. This is another ODNR recommendation. Repairs to the Lake Rockwell Reservoir earth and dikes and the access road to reestablish original crest elevations as deemed necessary by ODNR inspection reports. Lake Rockwell Reservoir floating wetlands. Install experimental floating wetlands on the reservoir to assist with HAB management and organic loading. Apply for grant funding required. This is a Jessica Glucheski project. She's done such great things with our management of our lake, reducing our HABs. We haven't had a hit since 2017, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx her, but just the kind of projects that Jessica does and manages up at the water plant. Watershed, miscellaneous spillway improvements, construct, improve at the various dam locations to maintain structural integrity of the dam structures. This is another ODNR recommendation. And then we have a placeholder of watershed property acquisition. Purchase of watershed properties is deemed necessary to support the watershed control program. This is another one if Jessica finds, you know, abandoned homes or something abutting our property. This allows us to go back and acquire them. She's acquired numerous properties over the years, especially around septic systems. Eliminate those septic systems are right near our reservoir. So that's basically a placeholder.
Very good, thank you. Any questions reference to water plant or watershed? Mr. Malik, and then.
Thank you, Mr. Little. I would not be the son of an engineer if I did not ask you, what is a floating wetland?
She has these, she puts, I believe they're almost like a buoy out there, and they go out there and they somehow, how should I say it? They get this data from the harmful algal blooms, and I don't think they eliminate them, but she has a way that she can get that data back, and then she knows how to treat the lake with whatever chemicals deems necessary.
That's really interesting. The other question was about the fencing around the water plant. I know that's a carryover, but I feel like we have spent significant amount of money in previous years before that on the fencing. I just want to kind of get a sense of how much we've spent in previous years. Am I correct in thinking that?
I can get you that. I mean, when we talk about security, there's certain areas that maybe aren't protected as well as they should be.
Okay.
So we want to eliminate that risk. So we are increasing our footprint to limit that access.
And definitely we want our water plant to be very secure.
Yep.
Thank you.
Tara Mosley?
Thank you. Chris, I have a question, not just on the water plant, but throughout the presentation. You talk about the annual reoccurrings on improvements. Do those allocations roll over, or do they go back into the general fund?
Well, anything with water sewer, just, it stays in their fund. It doesn't go back in the general fund.
Okay.
When we had it in there last year, I can't tell you that all that money was spent. It's just like the fencing. You know, we put that number in there, it's a placeholder, but any big project we do, whether it's a roof replacement, a fence, we'll come back to you. So if you don't see it, then we probably did not do it, okay?
Okay.
But they're reoccurring, but we put them in there, and then like I said, if we did a big fence project, we'd bring it back to you. If we did the roof on the caustic fluoride building, we'd bring it back to you. But we put those in there, yes. We gotta have them in the budget, or we can't move forward those projects.
Right. At some point, not tomorrow, because my request is probably going to sound crazy to you, on those items, can you give us a snapshot of how much is in those pots? Like you say they roll over and they stay there. if you could give us an outlook, maybe like the last 5 budget cycles, where we are and how much we still have in those respective areas.
Sure, I'll get you something. I mean, it's in their overall budget, but I'll get you something. Yeah,
Okay.
because if we don't spend it, it's still in their overall water capital budget.
Right, okay.
They don't keep building or anything like that.
Okay.
Enterprise
Thank
fund.
you.
Very good. I think that's it, but I do know, and thank you for being so patient, Nancy Holland, about, we're going to step back, and then we'll have maybe 5 minutes if there's any comments or anything, and we'll go from there. But Nancy Holland.
Thank you so much, Chairman Fusco. Ms. Tomic, I'm going to leave the area of water for now. I've had a couple of inquiries just while we've been meeting this afternoon from residents interested in an item that you addressed much earlier under residential streets. And this is a $5 million investment in improvement of streets and supporting utilities for the residences at Good Park. And I think I have some of this information, but I would far rather hear from you, and I think the residents would as well. It's my understanding that Alpha Phi Alpha is a nonprofit developer. Am I right about that?
That's correct.
Can you tell us more about this particular investment? And I ask it because it is a significant amount of money, and it is a significant move. If we were giving this kind of help to a for-profit developer, I think that we would, with good reason, all sit up a little straighter and raise our hand. But perhaps you can address the concern about this kind of expenditure.
So is Steve Fricker on the call, or I don't see? Jason, are you more familiar with the details of the infrastructure property with the Alpha's?
A bit, and then I think we could have Steve follow up on some specifics.
Okay.
So do you want to share that, or we may have to get back to you, Councilman Holland?
Yeah, I can add a bit of context, and then we can have Steve follow up. But good question on this project, because this is a brand new housing development. There are no streets and utilities currently, so part of the project is to extend Sunset View Drive to connect Hawkins to Mall. And so the financing, and Steve could get into some more details, is basically, I think, for a loan to the developer to construct that infrastructure, and then it would be paid back over time by special assessments that would be levied against the homeowners in the new development.
Okay, so to see this $5 million item in our budget is, I guess, then not exactly what I think I'm looking at. This is more in the nature of a loan?
Correct.
Okay.
I believe someone had answered something, whereas that's going to be passed on to the property owners via special assessment?
That is correct.
That's correct. We'll get your report, because I think TIF through the first 15 years is going to be X. After 15 years through year 30, but we'll lay it all out for you, how the TIF is going to pay this back.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Perfect. Any other questions or comments? We're sticking, I hope our clerk is happy. We said 6 o'clock, hard stop, and this is what we're doing. I don't believe there's anything else to go over at this point, Helen Tomic. Yeah, thank you. So we're going to get all of our information back from the administration, and then we can have conversations about, like moving forward. And I know that there's some ideas some of us have in reference to perhaps adjustments and such that we heard along the way. So we'll be working with the administration on some of that. So with that, we're adjourned, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody have a great evening.
Thank you, Helen Tomic, for all your hard work on this. We certainly appreciate it.
That concludes capital budget review. Council will meet at 7 p.m. tonight. Thank you.